We are live, and I have the pleasure of speaking with Mandy today, who has been a Blam partner for a few weeks now. And I love doing these interviews because you're fresh out the gate.
Yes, indeed.
You are. And so you're hot off the back of the training.
Yeah.
You're in the midst of doing your first few appointments and doing networking and really sort of earning your business stripes, and obviously being sort of supported by Blam. So it's a good time for us to have a chat because it's kind of all new and shiny.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
And
I can remember everything at the moment.
that's it. And when we've had a little catch up prior to this, I said what I love doing is also having another catch up maybe in a year's time,
That
and
would
then
be really good. I'd like to have that as well.
yeah, then we can look at the the juxtaposition and see how far you've come. But anyway, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me.
Pleasure. Pleasure.
So let's just start by giving a bit of background. Do you want to sort of give us a little bit of information about what you did prior to joining the partnership program at Blam?
Yeah. So I've actually been in marketing for most of my career, across both people in the know, client side and agency side. So that's doing what we're doing here now. But that was a long time ago, and it was before digital marketing really existed. And then in the last, say, 15 years or so, I've been in enterprise businesses as a marketing director, working across, all APJ in Australia, Pacifica, and Japan, and Europe as well. So done lots of business to business marketing with big budgets and big objectives and all the rest of it. So yeah, that's kind of my background. So
awesome.
At least I understand the terminology, though the segmentation and all the rest of it, and our target audience is totally different. So that's where my steep learning curve is at the moment.
Yeah, adjusting from the big corporate to the dealing with directly with business owners.
Yes.
So what was it that sort of appealed to you to sort of change direction when you first started looking around?
It was actually a bit of a boot up the backside because I got made redundant. Did try and get another role, but the market is very challenging at the moment in my sector. Slightly more mature, so that was also, I think, being realistic. We have to be honest with ourselves. A challenge, and also I was a bit too senior for some jobs and not senior enough for others. So I fell between two stools. So tried to find another job for a while, for about 6 months, and then someone said, "What about a franchise?" And so I thought, I hadn't even thought of it, to be totally honest. And no, not at all. And sort of went off and went through a referral and all the rest of it, and was literally just about to buy a cleaning franchise. And I just thought, and I knew I would make it a success, but I thought, is that what I really want to do? Is that where my strengths are, really? So I then pulled out of that and went on a little mission to try and find what I termed as a business franchise, when I was Googling and all the rest of it. Anyway, to cut a long story short, ended up finding Blam and another couple. Spoke to three different people, 3 different companies. And Blam, well, actually, Grant, bless him, was bless you, called me up at some ridiculous hour of the day when I had been Googling, and it was about to be Alex's wedding and all sorts of things.
Oh, yes, I remember now. Yeah, I'd forgotten that. He was out of action for a month.
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, it's been brilliant because poor Grant I've been picking his brains left, right, and centre. And when I did my analysis, I felt that Blam was more like me. The other ones, ironically, were very, very business-like, very, very formal, all the rest of it. But I just thought, I know that the one thing I do know is about target audiences and who you're targeting and all the rest of it. So I kind of used that knowledge and my experience, and I felt that it was always going to be small and medium-sized businesses that we were talking to. And I felt that the way that this other businesses were pitching was too high level, too formal. And then the other thing which I thought was I had to do some of the work. And I am not a designer. I have been in this business for a long time. I'm not a designer. I always used to say I'm not a creative. Now, that's not true, because when you go into a like an enterprise business, then you suddenly realize you are creative in comparison with the rest of the world. But in an agency, I'm thought of as what used to be called a suit. So you're the sales guy, really. So so I. In the end, I had also, in and amongst thinking about starting up on my own, had tried to build my own website. And you'd have thought, I know marketing, I know what looks good, I have a design eye, blah, blah, blah. Oh, 3 days later, I still wasn't happy with this free package and, moving everything all over the place. And I just thought, if I was charging myself out on a consultant's fee, 3 days work, that's a lot of money. And not only that, but I'm still not happy with it. So I would have to do another probably 3 days. So that was also a bit of a light bulb moment for me. And is helping me with how I communicate with people that I'm talking to. And as I develop my story and all the rest of it, I think that's going to be something that will come out more. So has that answered the question?
It does, yeah, it does. It does. No, that's brilliant. It's answered about my next.
As is my want.
No, but what I love about that story, though, is that it's kind of you've got the proof, the evidence of what small business owners are faced with. The sort of do-it-yourself business website builders are great at marketing. In fact, it reminds me. I've got a video, a storyboard of an advert that I wanted to produce, and I must get it done this year, and because it was on the to-do list last year. I never got it done, and it was a bit of a sort of a jokey video where you've seen the videos where for like Wix or Squarespace, and they've got some groovy business owner who goes, I click here and I click here, and all of a sudden I got this fantastic video and I'm a millionaire next week. The truth of it is exactly what you experienced. Over 90% of those websites never get published.
No,
because people spend so long faffing around. And I have heard it's a lot higher than that. And that's where we fit straight in, is that we're not going after micro businesses who can't afford a business website, can't afford your consultancy services. But they do know that if they tried to do it themselves, it would be nowhere near as good. They're not professional marketers or website builders.
No.
And they're not sort of, it's not the best use of their time when they could be out growing their own business.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And it's the same for you. And that's so I love that story, because it's really at the crux of what we do.
Yeah.
Everything that Blam does for you is so that you can go out and grow your business.
Yeah. I think that's a really nice way of putting it as well. So I need to get that into my script, or I don't have a script, because that's not how I work, but it needs to come into my psyche,
It's one of the safe pair of hands.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, one of the reasons I wanted to interview you at this stage as well is because obviously you told me right from the very beginning you want to be one of our top partners. And I've no doubt that you will be. You've got all the potential.
Sometimes I wonder.
We all have doubts.
Exactly.
But now you're just out of the training. Obviously, you're live now, and you're starting to have conversations and meetings. I believe you had a meeting this morning that Alex attended with you, and for the sound of it, that one's got huge potential. But how are you feeling now about that goal, given the knowledge that you've had to ingest over the last few weeks?
I mean, I still do believe in it, and I've done, I've worked on my figures in my head. I have to be honest, it's not as easy as I'd hoped, not maybe as quick as I'd hoped. I know that it'll work. but I think I've got to be a bit patient, and I am one of these people that wants everything now. So luckily, when I was sort of planning things out, I did give myself 18 months, but I would like to be in that top 10 within a year or so, to be totally honest. But not maybe performing as well as some of the others, but because I've given myself an extra 6 months to reach what my goal that I would like to reach. So
it's really interesting. That's why I like doing these videos, because it'd be great to look back on this.
I hope I'm right.
Well, the thing is, I think we were talking about this the other day, earlier today. You can't really fail in that goal if you just keep doing what you're doing, consistently taking action in the right places.
Yeah.
Because you're doing lots of appointments now. I think you've got five this week.
Five this week, plus a couple of networking.
Yeah, and so that means that you're building in confidence. You're talking about it, and you're applying the process. And so what tends to happen is it kind of starts to snowball, and it all comes at once.
Yeah.
Your next sale is probably very, very close. And that's why obviously you're working closely with your partner coach, Alex, to get those deals closed. But you'll be surprised how quickly all the work that you've put in up until now kind of builds up, and it's like building up pressure.
Yeah.
And when you burst through, it can really start getting momentum, and momentum is absolute key.
I think you're right, and it's a cliche, but that's why it is a cliche. Success brings success, brings success, and I think success, that could be meetings. It doesn't necessarily mean money or anything. It means whatever you're trying to do. So the reality is if you do, it's a numbers game. It is a numbers game. One can't get away from that.
It is. Business is a numbers game.
Absolutely, it is. And so therefore, if I consistently do 5 appointments a week, 5 calls, and that could be I'm doing some face-to-face as well, which is funny. Face-to-face as well as, and then networking. For me, networking is good because I'm people person. But eventually something must happen. So,
well, 5, just so you know, and we've talked about this. You're kind of pretty much there at the moment in terms of being able to close deals and whatnot. 5 appointments a week. You'd be really disappointed if that wasn't at least 1 deal a week.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm trying to. That's what I'm aiming for at the moment.
Yeah.
When I was a bit more naive, or before I'd had more experience, I was thinking, again, I think this is coming from my corporate life, is £1,000 is nothing to a corporate. And absolutely nothing. You design a leaflet for that almost. But that's where the sweet spot is slightly different, and that's a learning curve for me. And it's about it's people's hard-earned cash. And
they want to return.
And so it's very different from how I used to work, and even but I think the other thing is actually it's probably going to be more rewarding. I think it is, because it really it really should work. Again, all of these things, they're set in stone. Even if you're not experienced in marketing, marketing's a numbers game. Google, and Google only exists because it's a numbers game. If you think of it that way, you're never going to get something from every single click. That just doesn't happen.
No.
And that's because people are researching. So again, my previous experience helps me there, because people are researching, and they all. So 90% of all purchases are researched online before they make the first call or they go into the shop or whatever. So
that's where we come in. That's where we got to make sure the research helps our clients.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's interesting. So when we look back at this in a year's time, your goal, 1 sale a week. That sale could be anywhere between £150 a month to £1,500 a month.
Yeah.
That's what we call the sweet spot.
Yeah, I've got in my head. Yeah.
and they should be in the region of sort of 70% profit margin in any of those, roughly speaking. And so that would put you in a good position this time next year. And I would be suggesting that you should start getting close to that next month.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, that'd be
You
good.
should. There's no reason why you shouldn't.
No,
All the numbers are there.
Yeah.
Because I think the great thing about what you've done is that it's, and I'm really glad, by the way, to pick up on something. It's turned into a bit of a coaching call, this has, hasn't it? But there's another thing I wanted to pick up on that I really like. When you said you're impatient, that's a good thing. You need to be impatient, because if you're satisfied with your results when you're not hitting target, you don't want to be in that position. You want to be impatient. Now, the key thing is not to be desperate, because nobody likes a desperate salesperson.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you certainly don't come across like that. And obviously, because Alex is helping you close your deals, as we talked earlier, is very relaxed, and you know, he'll never come across as a desperate salesperson because of the way his demeanor is.
Yes, exactly.
And it's not something to get into your head, but the key thing is to, you know, embrace that sense of urgency, because I think that, you know, one of the key entrepreneurial things that really encapsulates an entrepreneur's character is that sense of urgency. You want a sense of urgency, because the ticker, like that lady we talked about this morning, really, really needs your help. And so it's our obligation to help you close that deal, so that you can help her, because she needs leads, and you can give them to her.
Yeah.
And then, as part of the, you know, the network that she's in, you can do exactly the same for all of her colleagues.
Yeah.
And that one sale could hit the target that we just talked about with just one sale.
Well, that would be lovely, wouldn't it?
I've had partners do that. And so, but what I'd really like to say, you know, it's a bit of a coaching call, but that's the way you need to be thinking. You got to think big, because the brilliant thing is, if you were on your own and that deal came through, you'd be pretty screwed, because you'd have to deliver on it.
I know, and see, that's the.
But with us, you got no problem.
Exactly.
That's absolutely no problem.
And I know, you know, also one should know, well, you hope that you know yourself quite well. And I think that's probably an advantage of being slightly older, is, you know, you know your strengths, you know your weaknesses, and you've acknowledged them, and hopefully you not necessarily know how to manage them, because otherwise it would be a perfect life, wouldn't it? You know, and I'd love to, but awareness is a good start. It's a very good start. So
100%, it is. So just circling back round, I just really want to get your opinion on the training and the coaching that we provide. What would be your feedback on that?
So the training, excellent. I was very lucky, because at least I understand a lot of the terminology. So I would suspect people who haven't been in this world would need to go through it twice. I think you'd, or unless you're really. So I'm not very academic either. So therefore, a lot of it doesn't stay in it. You know, it has to be. So that's a point I'd make. It's really good. You know, again, I'm lucky because I know them, so I know it's correct and all the rest of it. And funny enough, I might go back to a few of them myself. And then the coaching has been excellent, to be honest. I think I was many moons ago, when I first started working, was a salesperson by accident. I got out of that and moved over to a different sort of sales. It was more an account management sales in the agency world. But I did actually used to sell yellow pages. Can you believe that? So
wow.
Which is a very good base for training. But
they're brutal with their salespeople, though, aren't they?
Absolutely brutal. So I've lost my train of thought.
Yeah, so the coaching.
Yes. So the coaching has been excellent, because I think you're on your own, so it's good to have the weekly catch-ups and all the rest of it. And I've been lucky, because not so many people have been taking advantage of it. So it's been very personal. Between you and Alex, that's been helpful. It's also been good from a mentoring point of view, just because sometimes it's hard when you're on your own, and it's hard when I came from quite a low place as well, having, been knocked back quite a bit, and not being desperate, but just like, not knowing what to do really. So it's been quite good to get myself focused and back on track. And I value, and even if I don't necessarily agree, it's a really, really good thing just to have I used to call it stake in the ground. So if you've got your stake in the ground, you know whether that's going to work for you, and you either move forward, or if it's not quite right, then at least you can do something about it and do a workaround and move forward. So yes, it's been excellent for me.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I'd like you both to do the sales for me if you could, but I guess
Alex kind of is.
Yeah, he's working hard. We'll get there soon.
Yeah.
So yes,
fantastic.
That's been good.
So just finally, then, just to wrap things up, what message would you like to give if you've got somebody that's in a similar position to you that be looking at the partnership program? What would be your sort of advice to them?
I'd say go for it, to be honest. I think it's a far more nurturing sort of environment, with a bit of it's a bit of carrot and stick, I do believe in it. I really believe in it. And I think that comes across. I think, again, because I know how agencies work and stuff, that that you've got something behind you that is a good machine, that will churn out the work as and when you need it. And that's a bit of there's a learning curve for you as you start all that process. But again, no, it's been good. It has been really good. So I'd say go for it. It's a good way of spending your money, speculating to accumulate. That's basically what I'd say.
Awesome. Brilliant. Well, thanks, man. It's been an absolute pleasure. I really appreciate you taking the time. I've got my fingers crossed for you for the deals that you've got out at the moment, the proposals.
Yes.
So I think February is going to be a good month for you. I think it is. Yeah. No doubt. But yeah, really appreciate you taking the time. And we've got a date this time next year for the follow-up.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I wish it was next year already then now.